Live from the City of Angels here on Sunday morning, breaking box office MMT with the numbers. And are you surprised? Well, Disney's not happy. How about that? Working Man, the Jason Statham Amazon flick, beat Snow White, the $250 million Snow White that fell 66% on the weekend, as this thing's going to lose Disney their ass. And we knew that last weekend, but it's even worse than you might have expected this weekend. Again, down 66%. And as you look at the Disney email here, and we get to the total through 2 weekends, the global cum, as it's called, $143.1 million. Remember, to be profitable, $625 million. So we're, roughly $500 million off. This is also, 66% down. Makes it even that much worse when there's nothing else in the marketplace that's head-to-head competition. A Working Man is not. Death of a Unicorn isn't. So where is that other family offering that's siphoning cash? Oh, it's not here. So that's why this is even more alarming. A total repudiation of this film, right? Nobody wants to see it. No one wants to see it succeed. It was going to be doomed from essentially the moment Zegler opened her mouth at D23 and said all those things, and it was over. And now we are seeing the reality of it with these numbers. I mean, A Working Man, $15.2 million on the weekend, and you look at that in comparison to The Beekeeper, it was off by about $1.3 million versus the debut of The Beekeeper. I mean, I didn't see it. I don't want to watch it. I watched a really great film, a film I really love. That is The Ballad of Wallace Island. It's a Focus Features limited release this weekend. We'll talk about it tonight. But A Working Man's not really my thing anymore, right? These kind of shoot 'em ups. It's just, here's the bad guys. This guy's taking out that guy. Here, I've done too many of these. Novocaine I skipped. But hey, listen, for Amazon, they'll take it. As you look at David Ayer back doing the exact same thing again, like Hollywood likes to do. Hey, we had success last time. Let's make the same movie. I wonder if David is happy making these movies. Because what are you doing? I mean, really, what are you doing with your life when you're making something like A Working Man? How are you, enriching anything other than Jason Statham's bottom line? I just, as, the very creative-minded person and certainly an artistic, invested person, it just really just boggles my mind how people will make shit like this and think, this is my contribution. This fucking garbage. And I didn't see it, but you guys know this is not great film, okay? Let's not play games and pretend that A Working Man is wonderful cinephilic material. Now, I'm not saying everything has to be. But you just wonder at this point, David, you've done your two. Can we get you back doing something, anything different? Even that one you had out during COVID was more interesting. I just want to see something that's a little more artistic. The Chosen, Last Supper, $11.5 million. That film is from Fathom Events. Faith-based, obviously, and it did very well. $11.5 million for that kind of film. That's strong. Number 4 was Woman in the Yard, $9.5 million on that, which is another Blumhouse low budget. I think it was $12 million. So this should come close to breaking even. I can't believe the budget's $12 million. We watched the trailer the other night on MMT, and I was like, where's the money here? I mean, I could probably make this movie for $3 million, right? Get a bunch of people out in a farmhouse, middle of nowhere, throw a veil on top of a lady, stick her in the yard, and we're off and running. I don't even need any actors that are good. Remember back to Friday the 13th? They just grab people. They were not. Have you ever acted before? Who cares? You're going to take an axe to the forehead. Come on in. That's all you got to do. Okay, but I didn't see Woman in the Yard. Skip that as well. I did see Death of a Unicorn. It's our number 5 film this weekend, $5.8 million. What I thought was interesting to do here is to bring up Midsummer. from back in, was that 2019? God, time flies. So 5-6 years later now, you're looking at a film that debuted under that. But also, I think more importantly, we like to talk about that per screen average. This is $2,400 for Midsummer. This was only $1,800. So we've lost, right, $600-ish per screen on an A24 horror film. And the thing about Death of a Unicorn is this is a film that should be bringing in bigger bucks because you're talking about Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd. Right? And I know Florence Pugh to that, but let's just talk about those two. She's coming off of Beetlejuice. You've got Rudd, part of the MCU, as Ant-Man, and you can't even get to $6 million on the weekend. Remember, we talked about Death of A24. Well, here it is again with Death of a Unicorn, a film that did not do much, if anything, in the marketplace. And I'm telling you guys, these small films, and we'll talk about it on The Ballad of Wallace Island tonight. That's a film that platformed in New York, LA, and its per screen average was like 20,000 per. That's bad. Okay. For one of those platform releases, we used to see 50,000, 100,000 on some of those films, right? Even more on a Parasite. Now, these films are coming in platformed and they're making 20,000 per. You see, I can see all this. I don't need Deadline to break it down. I am Deadline, motherfuckers. And the reality is, these small films are not firing anymore at the marketplace. And Death of a Unicorn, and you look at Ballad of Wallace Island, I really like the film, but they're just not bringing people in like they used to. How do you correct it? We'll talk about it tonight. I've tried to discuss how to do it. I don't know if you can now. Movie theaters will be closing soon. Okay, guys? I'm going to make this very clear here this morning. We will start losing movie theaters, and very soon. I don't want to hear about later this summer. I don't want to hear about 2026. If you think the ArcLight here in Los Angeles is going to come back, you are delusional AF. You have no clue how this works. It will never return because the marketplace today is not 2019. Tarantino said movies ended in 2019. Guess what? They did. They're not the same anymore. People do not go to movies as much as they did. Don't give me Barbenheimer. Don't give me the big blockbuster, the tentpole. I'm talking about these small films. That is the indicator that people are not going to movie theaters like they used to. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a movie theater on one side of town and one on the other. Everything in between, gone. So you're going to have to drive to that theater because it's going to be a niche thing. That's where we're headed. It's coming soon. I'm sorry if you have AMC stock. You're fucked. It's not coming back. The big films are not enough. They're not doing enough business to suck this shit up that's when we're in dead zone like this. It's another terrible weekend. Let me go to ComScore, see if they have I'm going to get the top 10 right now. Let me see if I can get I'll get it tonight, but it's down. Guys, we are down in March, a massive number compared to where we were a year ago. And go back to 18, 19, 17, any of these years. We are in huge trouble when the number one film is at $15.2 million. We'll do the top 10 in 1 second. I do want to talk about Mickey 17. Mickey and Princess Mononoke did very well in IMAX, $4 million. I mean, it wasn't very full in a lot of IMAX locations, but I mean, for a re-release, we'll take it. This marketplace is hurting, man. Mickey 17 is only at $121 million worldwide. Warner Brothers lost their ass on this film. And every time I have to talk about Mickey 17, we'll do it again tonight because there's a great Warner Brothers article in Variety talking about what a mess that place is, right? Greenlighting PTA at $130 million. They're going to lose their ass on that. They made Alto Nights. That bombed. Here comes Mickey 17. You guys, let me explain. I do this every time I talk about Mickey 17 because you guys have to understand. Mickey 17 wrecks future movies because someone at Warner Brothers who has no clue what constitutes a great creative enterprise, greenlit this thing at 100 and, 30? Right? So we're not even at the budget here. And that's not, by the way, that's not break even. Theaters get their cut, advertising. The break even on this should be about $325. Dudes, this thing's losing hundreds of millions. And not just that. Let me hammer down on this again. I'll do it again tonight because every time I talk about Mickey 17, this has to be understood. You guys, you got to get this shit. When you walk into the multiplex and you sit down and you watch Mickey 17, you're not coming back to the movies anytime soon. You are not going to go through that shit again. And that's what we're dealing with now with these films. Go back to a Babylon. Go back to Beau is Afraid. You talk about a film that wrecked a brand. These directors are so selfish. And Bong, all the great you did with Parasite is almost erased with this thing. This is unwatchable. This is cinema destroying work. And I'm telling you, the guy next to me got up and left, and I bet you $1 million he's never come back. He has not been back since that movie. Because it will make you not want to return. It's like going to the restaurant and you ordering something, you get burnt filet. Do you think you're going back to eat again at the steakhouse? It was charred. It's not any kind, it's completely black meat. That's what you get with Mickey 17. And I'm telling you, the fact that Warner Brothers is not fired. Now, I said 10. Now I'm angry. I want 25 people out of Warner Brothers for that film. I want them all. Anybody who worked on this film and thought this was good, you don't have a job tomorrow morning. It's done. It's over. This is garbage cinema. And I hate that Bong made this shit film to destroy movie theaters, along with Ari Aster and Beau is Afraid. And Damien Chazelle in Babylon. And throw an oar in there. Garbage. These films are ruining movie theaters. And films like The Ballad of Wallace Island that are magical are not going to be able to save it because they're not going to go see it because they sat through Mickey 17. That's the world we live in. Film Twitter. Film Twitter thinks Mickey 17. You have rainbow hair, dude. No, you don't relate to anybody. Of course you think Mickey 17 is great. Look at you. The movie's a freak show. You're a freak show. The world's not like you. You're the weirdo. Mickey 17's the weirdo. It doesn't connect with anybody. Get it through your head. I'm so tired of this world being run by the fringe. Oh, it's so great. It's the best movie ever made. You don't even know what you're going to wear today, what clown outfit you're going to put on. So why are you talking about Mickey 17 being a great movie? This is I'm telling you, the Sunday morning show is better than the Sunday night show. I never thought it would happen. It started as a hits, runs, and errors show, and now I'm just furious at all these movies and why the box office is gutted. Top 10, here we go. Working Man, number 1 at $15.2 million. That's a terrible number 1 number, right? When you're talking about a $15 million debut. Yeah, great for Amazon and Working Man. They gave it to us in theaters, but I'm talking about the number. That's bad for March. It's spring break. Why is there nothing for the kids to see? Well, Snow White. No one wants to see it. Number 2, $14.2 million, down 66%. Snow White, going to lose them hundreds and hundreds. Maybe, what is it, $500 million? At least $450 million this thing's going to lose them. The Chosen, Last Supper, number 3 at $11.5 million. Death of a Unicorn is 5 at $5.8. I skipped over Woman in the Yard at 9.5. I don't know how that film made $9.5 million. They didn't even advertise it. The Woman in the Yard, the first time I saw that, I think, was when it opened in the theaters. Like, what is this? It's Universal? I haven't even heard of this movie. Blumhouse has also actively wrecked movies by putting in garbage like Night Swim and what was the one with the Imaginary, right, from last year? How many? Everyone name a garbage thing. Five Nights at Freddy's, terrible adaptation. I mean, the creatures look great, right? The design, that's fantastic. The rest of the movie, trash. Princess Mononoke was number 4. 6 make that at $4 million. Captain America, $2.8 million. That is now over $400 million. And it's getting close to breaking even. I know that pisses you guys. Hey, listen, based on the Disney numbers, it is. Sorry. Black Bag is losing its ass. I believe the total on that is $30 million worldwide. It's a $50 million film. So there's another film that's losing money. Small film, right? Not a good film. Not terrible, not a good film. Again, guys, you got to create great things to bring people in. Ballad of Wallace Island is a very good film. It will make, when it goes wide, like 1,000 per screen because these small films are over. Mickey 17 is 9. I don't want to talk about it ever again except for tonight. And then Novocaine is number 10. And then we had some smaller films open. Couple of comments and we're out of here. I'm going to play volleyball. Death of a Unicorn barely beats out a re-release. Exactly. I mean, that's the thing, right? A24 as a brand has really suffered from where it was going back to 17, 18, that build. I mean, obviously the original Spring Breakers in 11, 12, and then pushing all the way up into 2020. COVID did a number on theaters, right? Not the actual COVID, but the reaction to COVID. Okay, we know that. So that has never recovered. Now, you're going to say we recovered from Barbie Oppenheimer and some of those things. I'm going to put out my own hypothesis tonight, and I believe it's absolutely correct, that a lot of these films, after the whole COVID hysteria died down, they did better than they would have done in normal conditions because people were excited to go back to the multiplex. Look at a Top Gun Maverick, right? Great example of that. The problem is now people have, that is lessened. The novelty of returning to the movies is not there like it was in 2 and 3, 2022, 2023. So you are relying on people to remember what it's like to go to the movies. The problem is there are great things on streaming, as I now can attest to with The Studio, one of the best things I've seen through 2 episodes. And we'll talk about that tonight, that show. If you've not watched it, you need to watch The Studio. The second episode is one of the best things I've ever seen, The Oneer. We'll talk about that tonight. When you also discuss people and changing habits and then no windows, right? Because you look at a film like Working Man or Ballad of Wallace Island, I've mentioned numerous times here, that film will be on digital in like 2 weeks. And that's the problem, is until you get that corrected. But even if you correct that, right, because it's gone on so long, even if windows are brought back at a 45, 60, 90 day, it does not mean these films are naturally going to return and they're going to go back to where they were. I think things have forever altered the landscape, and I don't believe we'll be able to return there. We'll have instances of films popping up, but again, I go back to, and then I'll go and we'll talk about these comments here tonight because I'm going to roll out. Here's the deal, is unless you give people great product, and I don't mean good, great product, they're not going to want to return. And I go back to last night, AMC 6, I watched Ballad of Wallace Island. Can't wait to talk about it tonight. And when I left, I said, I'm glad I came to the movies. Do you know how often that happens nowadays? 1 out of 10 trips. And I go all the time. Imagine if you're that person who only goes once every few months and you run into Mickey 17. You run into Babylon. You run into Anora. And you're not a weirdo rainbow-haired film Twitter. Then guess what? You're going to hate it. And that is what is going to do damage to the overall movie-going landscape, is the fact these films aren't good. And then the worst part about Anora, and then I'm going to stop because I could go on for honestly like 3 hours on this. Anora, the biggest crime that Anora will ever perpetrate is the fact that it will be the most fraudulent best picture in the history of film. And here's the issue too. Because you said Anora is the best picture of the year, you now have not just destroyed you had like the shredded, it's gone. Like if anyone watches Anora and they say, this is what won Best Picture, they're going to say, okay, well, movies are dead. Movies are dead. And that's exactly where we are. I hate saying it, but we're in huge trouble. And even Minecraft is not going to save us next weekend. I can't wait to watch that. I'll see you later tonight. Comments, put them in here. I'll get to them, and I'll see you back here for the MMT Sunday Evening Spectacular. Peace out from LA. See you tonight.